She passed away in about 2001. She was a singer, songwriter, actor, author. And she has written a book of poetry, and this is one poem from that book. It's called An Autobiography in 5 Chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street. So, something along the lines of how do we get out of a rut? A rut is a habit or a pattern of behavior that has become dull and unproductive, but is hard to change. I thought that was a universal principle we've all experienced. Even in our pursuit of spiritual life, we can run into ruts. How does it make you feel? When you're in a rut, how does it make you feel? Anybody? Throw it out there. When you're in a rut, how do you feel? Hopeless. Stuck. Stagnant. Trapped. Useless. I was at Trader Joe's, and there was a cashier. She seemed to be in good spirits, and I said, "What's your secret? How do you stay positive?" She said, "It's less work." When you're stuck in a rut, when you're caught in negativity, that's a dark place, and it takes courage to ask for help. Sometimes people, I think, we have some sort of, and it's part of Western culture. We have kind of this pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. It's like work hard. Protestant work ethic. Work hard, achieve things, and Albert Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." So sometimes we just need a tweak, but sometimes we need radical change. And that's kind of where I wanted to look at, how do we discern, when is it just, is it something external? Is it something internal? Could be both. Eric Clapton had a song, well, still does, he's still alive, called Tears in Heaven. It was a tragedy. He had lost a son, fell off an apartment balcony, many stories high, and died. It's called Tears in Heaven. And one of the lines is, time can bring you down. Time can bring you down. Time can bend your knees. Time can break your heart. Have you begging, please? So, they say time and tide wait for no man. Time is an energy of God, and it's insurmountable. In the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, time I am, the destroyer of the worlds. And time is wearing everything away. And if you make it through, till your golden years, you've inevitably been through all sorts of stuff. And I can't imagine what you've been through, maybe what you're going through right now. All I can do is share my journey, and maybe it'll resonate with someone, even if one person finds some inspiration. I've never done this before, but I'm not trying to gain sympathy, but when I was a young boy, I was sexually abused. I didn't have a close relationship so much with my father. He was a little emotionally unavailable. And this, unfortunate fellow, preying on innocent minds. He became like a father figure. And over the course of, I don't know, a year or more, there was this abuse. And if you want your mind to be tweaked, that's something that will really tweak your mind. Now, I'm not saying that my challenge is any more difficult than anyone else, but as a child, when you're just developing your mental capacity, and then something like that happens, you can't really figure out what happened, because adults are almost like gods to children. And so typically what happens in abuse is that you become riddled with guilt, like something's wrong with me, and that trauma, again, there's all sorts of trauma, the age of Kali, it's almost like the age of trauma. One of the coping mechanisms is, you actually become like into this victim consciousness, victimhood, victim mentality. And it's very dark, just like what you were saying, all those sayings about when you're in a rut, how does it feel? Helpless, hopeless, stuck, dark. And, what does this have to do with spiritual life? Can't we just, recognize the material world is, a tough place, and let's get out of here. Like, what do you call it? Shrug it off, move on, So, but it's not easy. Trauma is not easy. So what does Krishna say about the inevitable difficulties in this material world that we're all experiencing? Is that there's only one way to really transcend or go beyond it, is to take shelter of me, to surrender unto me. He says the three modes of nature are very difficult to overcome, but one who is surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. But when there's this darkness, even that appeal of Krishna, like, I'll take care of you, just surrender to me, it's difficult to open your heart and trust, because that's one of the big problems with abuse, is that it causes serious trust issues when you've been violated like that. So I've basically struggled my whole life with trust issues, even though I understood philosophically what Krishna consciousness offers. And somehow or other, I was just not, there would be times where there'd be like the curtain would open and I would get some, yes, hope. But so often I was caught in that rut, stuck in that hole. And, but as Eric Clapton sang there, time can bring you down. It can bend your knees. You begging, please. And in one sense, I could say it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because the only way I was able to move through this. I went to therapy. I bought psychiatric meds. I tried, the whole cocktail, dozens of psychiatric meds, diagnoses, this, that. Nothing seemed to, the drugs cause more side effects. It's worse than the actual anomaly. So it wasn't so long ago, I would say I kind of had a breakthrough where Lily had a break. I broke my foot. I had hobbled around in one of those boots. And I mentioned this last time I spoke. I had dental implants that failed. And if you want I think I said this too, it's like there's people talk about going to hell. Well, you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to have dental implants. There's a special place in hell where people just have failed dental implants. So, and then, other issues. And, it was just, my friend Alan, is Alan here tonight? Yeah. We were speaking yesterday and we were talking about doubt. And I definitely had some serious doubts. When all that was going down, I thought, Krishna, 45 years practicing Krishna, I'm 65, 45 years doing this. You're my ever well-wisher. You're my best friend. My life is hell. And sometimes you have to step outside your own tradition to see things that are right in front of your face in your own tradition. But sometimes you step outside your tradition and hear, and I went, there's a Catholic church just a half a block away from my apartment. And I remember going to the church. I would go there sometimes and do my mantras, my japa chanting. And it was sort of like, yeah, it's just a nice space, but I didn't really sort of like think of it in terms of taking shelter of Jesus or any saints or anything. And so I got down on my knees, literally begging, please. And I was praying to Jesus, like, I am a mess. Like, my life is a nightmare. Like, I've got all this rich tradition, philosophy that you can dive so deep in it and be amazed at the teachings, but somehow or other, I could not access the essence of the philosophy, which is to open your heart and accept God's love. That God has unconditional love for us. But that, whatever that, what you want to call it, that negativity, that trauma, that, it was like blocking. It's like something is not happening. So in terms of a rut, unproductive, going through the motions, we can, kind of go on autopilot and go through the rituals and even the prayers and so on. But unless there's a change of heart, unless there's something that cracks open that steel frame, there's always benefit. There's always benefit. But the ultimate benefit, the pure love that we are aspiring for in spiritual life, there is something that's required, and that is called kripa, mercy, that we need to recognize there's no way out without the grace of a higher power. And that higher power comes through, most significantly, through the devotees of the Lord. They are a manifestation of God's mercy in this world, specifically Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, who appeared in the mood of a devotee, and his transcendental partner, brother, Lord Nityananda, the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And the guru, the mentor, the spiritual mentor is understood to be a manifestation of Nityananda, the mercy of God. So we're not stereotyped. There are great personalities have appeared. Prabhupada actually said, we're not stereotyped. Vaishnavas only appear in India. He said Jesus Christ was a great Vaishnava. So I prayed to Jesus to help me like break through this, whatever's blocked. I couldn't understand what was the problem. And as I started leaving the church, sitting on the pew, there was a book, and it wasn't a hymnal thing. It was a promotional copy from a Catholic author, and I picked it up, and there was just like an inner voice that said, "You need this book." And I took it home and I was reading it, and it was sort of like, bing, the lights went on, you know. And it was everything that I needed to go back into my own practice, my own tradition, with a different mindset. As Albert Einstein said, we can't solve our problems with the same thinking we used to create, you know, that we used when we created our problems. So sometimes it just takes a little tweak, just a different perspective to be able to tap in or to open up that, you could say, that blockage. But it was some kind of, it was just desperation. It was just like, I can't carry on like this anymore. Like, this is just too much. And anyhow, so that's sort of like the personal side. Yeah, we, you know, talk a little bit of philosophically. When we're in those ruts, another phenomena that we experience is that we feel very disconnected. We're isolated. Like I'm in this hole, I'm disconnected. And yoga literally means to connect. It means relationship. And God is a community. Think about that. God is not in a vacuum. God is a community. Well, I never heard that before. Is this guy off? You know, Prabhupada didn't say that, you know. Aham savasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samamita. I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. When we see that everything is connected, just like in that Avatar movie, what was it, the Tree of Souls? Was it Iwa or EU or Iwa? I mean, this is not, ooh, wow, I've never heard that before. This is common wisdom throughout all spiritual traditions. But in the Vedic presentation, this is pretty much the most fundamental definition of God. Janmadhyasya yataha. Everything emanates from God. There is nothing that is not connected to God. There's nothing, you can't turn anywhere and not be conscious of God if you have knowledge, but not just theoretical knowledge. In the Srimad Bhagavatam is a verse that says, Vedanti tat tatvavidas tatvam yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavanti tishavyate, that learned transcendentalists call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The first level of God realization is to realize we're not this body. We're Brahman, we're spirit. And in that consciousness, it's described we're fully joyful. There's no hankering, there's no lamentation. We see everybody equally. Samasarveshu bhuteshu. We see everyone equally. Who doesn't want that? Everybody's just, you know, social injustice and economic inequality. Everybody's upset about the not people not being treated equally. But on a material level, it'll never happen. There is no such thing as material equality. Everybody's different. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. And we can't artificially just paint this brush of universal brotherhood if we don't understand who the Father is. It's just, you can't have this artificial sense of equality on the material platform. We have to go deeper and see that everyone is a part and parcel of God. In the Isha Upanishad, it says that one who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or anyone. Hey, how about that for a change of, the level of hatred and vitriol, and, it's off the charts now. And people are like, what are we going to do? How are we going to change this? So again, Einstein, you can't solve the problem with the same thinking. We've got to approach the problems of the world with a different perspective, that we are not here as enjoyers of this world. Bhoktaram Jagatapasam, Krishna says, I'm the supreme enjoyer. I'm the proprietor. I'm the well-wisher of everyone. Prabhupada called this the peace formula. God is the center. We're not the center. And that, I would say, that summed up my problem. My problems, my problems. Everything's happening to me. No, it's happening for me. God is the cause of all causes. Everything is happening to give us impetus to go deep within, to be introspective and figure out, what am I supposed to learn? What is the lesson behind this suffering that we are all inevitably going through? So the remedy is Shravana, is hearing transcendental sound vibration. Again and again, this is reiterated in the Vedic literatures, that it is through association that we develop desire. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Sangat Sanjayate Kama, by association you develop desire. So when we associate with God through transcendental sound vibration, what we were doing just now, chanting the holy names, and this is hearing also. We're discussing transcendental subject matter. But there has to be a certain quality to our hearing. There has to be a submissiveness. There's in this first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a wonderful section in the second chapter of verses that just really, in the synopsis, really sum up the whole philosophy. And there's a verse that describes that when you serve great souls who are free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of God. And then it says, Srinvatam Sva Kata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyanta Sto. God, who's situated in the heart, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment that is actually the cause of our problems. It's our own desire. It's nobody else's fault that we're here in the material world. We walked out of a relationship with God. And when we take that's like that poem. It's like, take responsibility for your life. This is empowering when you know you have a choice. The world is not just against you, and people are not against you. As much as it might appear that way, God is behind everything. And if we don't have that confidence, if we don't have that trust in God, it's a tough life. It's a tough life in Kali Yuga, in the age that we live in, with the acceleration. It's said now that in the next 5 years, with this whole AI stuff going on, the changes in society in the next 5 years are going to be the equivalent of the last 50 years. I mean, things are really the impersonalism that has saturated society. It started when I was a little kid. Not a little kid, I was a junior high or high school. I worked at a gas station. We used to call them service stations. And when a customer would pull up, especially if they asked for a full tank of gas, you gave them the whole works. You washed all their windows, you checked their oil, you checked their tires. And that was like, that's part of the program, you know? And then they came with self-service gas pumps. And the owner of the station was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. But it was a franchise, and the parent company was insisting, no, this is the new direction we're going. And then we get like ATM machines. You don't have to go into the bank. There's no person. It's just a machine. And then how about driving yourself crazy? You know, if you want this, press this. If you want that, press that. I just want to talk to a person. Representative. How many times have you screamed at your phone? Representative. I can't take this anymore. You know? This is impersonalism. We're taking the humanity is being sucked out of society. Now with AI, it's like taking it's like some bizarre sci-fi movie where the machines are taking over. You know, it's just this impersonalism. And in our prayers to Prabhupada, it says Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastita Deshatarne, the Western world, but now it's the whole world, is just saturated with impersonalism. And it's really sucking the life out of everyone. And with all this technological advance, we're wondering, why is everybody so bent out of shape and angry and frustrated? We got all these toys now. It's like Star Trek. We got communicators, you know, beam me up, Scotty, you know, with cell phones. But it's just bizarre. You know, I was on the bus the other day and these three young men get in and they just immediately, they sat down, just, you know, and it looks like some kind of bizarre B horror movie where the aliens have planted some device and everybody's just like walking around. I was at Reed Park. It was at night. And there were these families walking around the fountain and their faces were all glowing because everybody in the family had their phone like this. And it was like, what is going on? Like, it's some kind of weird dystopia where materialism has just gone up to such a pitch that we really have to seriously make a choice. Do we want to lose our humanity and sell our souls to technology? Technology can be used. We got a microphone right here. We're using technology, but it's so easy to get carried away and think that this is such a great thing to have all these toys and you know, the latest iPhone, which I don't know how much they are these days, $600 or something, maybe more. 1,200. You know, you got to work like a maniac to afford your phone. You know, it's like the emperor's new clothes, you know, and this is why we need dedicated spiritual mentors who are detached from this madness to give us some sanity back. Give me my sanity back. So that first level realization, Brahman realization, it's characterized by detachment. You're no longer driven by hankering and lamenting for all this nonsense. It is nonsense. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. You don't have to surrender your life to working like a maniac to get the latest gadget and the latest computer, widescreen TV or this or that. It's simply the emperor's new clothes. So, and the next level realization is Paramatma. We realize God in the heart. We're all connected. Krishna says, everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. There's an underlying thread that we're all connected. There's God in the heart. This is the manifestation of chit or knowledge or consciousness. It's not just some theoretical, you know, data it's awareness, it's consciousness. To have consciousness, awareness of God, that's what it means to be in knowledge. And then Bhagavan realization. Even beyond that partial manifestation of God is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And that is where our full love can be reposed in Bhagavan. So that is what the chanting of Hare Krishna is all about. It's about unblocking all these unwanted things in the heart, these desires in the heart that are keeping us trapped in that rut that we said, falling in a hole. How do I get out? And then I get out and I fall back into the hole again. There has to be a serious, again, introspection and say, what do I really want out of life? Do I want to just be like, just a mind, it's like people sleepwalking. People are just walking around like zombies, just like, it's madness. And there's a Sanskrit word, mata, which literally means you're intoxicated, you're mad. That is what this unrestricted sense indulgent in this modern society, but we have to work within it. We're not anti-technology. It's just, it has to be used for the right purpose. And that's called yukta vairagya. That means everything belongs to God. Everything should be used in God's service. Even all this crazy stuff. I had to, I was on my computer making notes and researching. Prabhupada he arrived in an airport and there was a big fanfare and the reporter said, so I read some of your literature. I thought you guys were against materialism, and material things. I see you flew in on the jet airplane. Prabhupada said, yes, because if I didn't, it'd be completely useless. All right, thank you very much. I'm over time. Hare Krishna.